Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the XoneBros. This is your positive gaming and Xbox community. This is podcast number 354.
354.
As always, I'm joined by the bros, the XoneBros. First, it's Mr. McSpicy. There he is.
Hello.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Next is Jordan the Man.
Hello.
Hi, Jordan. And last but not least, I am X1. Thank you very much for being here, everybody.
Can I say real quick, Dave, before you get into it?
Yes,
My wife just let me know, or let us know before the show, this episode
right here.
This episode is our 7th year anniversary of doing the show.
That is crazy. That is crazy. They say it takes, on average, 10 years, a decade, to become successful. To become, what is it? The saying is, it takes a decade to become an overnight success.
Yeah.
And we're almost there. We're 3 years
So
away.
we're
So we've
3
got
years
3
away.
years to make it. We've got 3 years to make it big.
I didn't prepare anything fancy or anything because I had no idea that
I had no idea
the
either.
show was that day.
We did start in March because of Titanfall.
Yeah, that's right.
We waited until Titanfall dropped, and then that was our first episode, like the week after or something.
Yeah, the first Titanfall.
The first Titanfall that dropped.
Remember that? That felt like
on
forever
the Xbox
ago.
One. It was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Whereas Spicy said 40 pounds lighter.
Yeah, that was 40 pounds ago, everybody.
That was
That's
last
crazy.
gen.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That was the launch of the last gen.
Yeah, it was a launch.
Yeah, because it came out that November or something like that the year before. Yeah.
And we waited a couple months to play the 5 games that were out. And then,
And there were some good ones.
Yeah.
Rise, Dead Rising 3. Titanfall eventually came out.
Forza,
yeah. Was it? I think it was
Forza 5 dropped,
Yeah.
that was the Top Gear one. Where the
Yeah,
Top
that
Gear
was a good
guys
one.
Correct.
Were announcers. What
Correct.
a great game.
Troubadour in chat dropped a super chat. He says, "In remembrance of those who were here from the beginning, here's to 7 more years."
Yeah.
Hashtag keep it tro.
Yay.
Troubadour, thank you very much. Cheers, brother. And here's to everybody who was here 7 years. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a long 7 years. It's been a fun 7 years. It has been a 7 years basically without a regular miss. We've had an episode every week except for our Christmas break that we take.
Minus the first year.
Minus the first
Minus the
Which
first
we
year.
learned very quickly was stupid.
Yeah, and all those we adopted over the years too that gradually showed up. Thank you for the support as well.
Yeah.
True fact. I have never missed an episode.
You haven't. That's
Yeah,
true.
That's right.
That is
I
true.
have
You're the only one.
I'm the only one.
Who's missed the most? Probably
You.
me. Probably me.
Well,
No,
Actually,
probably
I think
Jordan.
David had that Jordan had that spiel where he had to go be a man in Minnesota for a couple weeks. Remember that?
Oh, was I gone for 2 weeks? That's right.
Yeah.
I think it was 2. Yeah.
And then we had you call in. Remember?
Yeah, and then I was at that in Tahiti, that convention that no one knows about.
The Tahiti
The
convention.
Tahiti convention, yeah. I went out in the field that week.
GameCon Tahiti.
Yeah, GameCon Tahiti.
No, but I think Jordan, for the most part, you've been here. I think David, maybe you've.
No,
been
I think it was me because there was the 2 weeks, and then there was one for my kid, and then I had to go on some free family vacation. That
You had to?
Yeah.
we won't.
So
talk
I think
about
there
it.
was 4. We had a special guest that week, though. Remember?
Oh yeah. Oh, and then I just think that I know when David leaves, it hurts the most because I have to run like all the organization, and I am not an organized person.
The funniest story I ever have is one week when I wasn't here. This was the most recent time. I don't know why I wasn't here for, but Jordan was in charge of printing off the sheets, and he handed it to Mark, and Mark was like, "David collates these."
Yeah, well, David's not here.
It makes
Because I'm like,
That makes me laugh.
I'm
he
like,
looked at me,
he,
he was
puts,
like-
he prints them
he
on
was like-
both sides.
He was
the
like,
notes.
David doesn't do it this way.
But it is true. We each have like our own individual jobs, and so when one person's not
Well,
there,
what it
throws
reminded
us.
me of is my kids do that. They're like, Mom doesn't do it that way. And I'm like, okay, well, Mom's not here. All
Do
right?
you see Mom around?
Yeah.
Go to your room.
Well, I know. But I mean, it just
That
makes
was
sense to
funny.
print them on
you
both
were
sides.
like, you were like serious. You're like, this is not how David does it.
He like throws them in the
Yeah.
Why do we even do this show?
I mean, I'm stressed enough, Jordan.
I know, that was funny. I remember that.
Nick P in chat also dropped a super chat. Thank you very much, Nick P. He says he lucked out and got himself a Series S. Congratulations.
Yeah.
It seems like those are becoming more and more available for people. More and more people who wish to are able to jump in. The Series S is the best looking console out there, in my opinion.
It's a good looking.
It's beautiful.
It's a good looking speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Speaking, I'm sitting in my office. I was talking about this in the pre-show. I have learned the importance to enjoy gaming is to create a enjoyment space.
An environment of positivity.
I call it an enjoyment space.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm creating that in my office where I work. The hard thing that I have, and I've realized this is a mental thing. I have and I can relate to you, Spicy, because you built your pleasure place, your pleasure palace.
My loft. Yeah, my gaming
That's
loft.
a good name, the Pleasure Palace.
Yeah, but because where I work is where I game, and there's like a mental hurdle there to where when you're there, it's like work mode.
Yeah.
And so but I enjoy my office because it's my space. It's the only space in the house that I have. And I'm climate controlled in there all on my own. I've got a couch now that I'm going to be putting in this weekend, as well as like a setup so that when I remove myself to the couch, it's the pleasure couch.
Yep.
I'm calling it the pleasure couch. But yeah, no, it's important to have like your work and enjoyment separate from each other because there's a mental hurdle there.
Oh, I totally agree 100%. Like it's a severe case of mental. Like my problem is the things that used to be fun is now work.
Oh yeah.
And that's actually why I'm getting into cooking.
Oh, there you go.
When I was talking before the show, I'm totally going to my grocery store and totally Gordon Ramsaying everything. I'm like sniffing the stuff. Yeah, this
is
would
very
be great.
aromatic.
Yeah, this would be good for my aromatics for this.
I love the word aromatic. Have you ever watched The Food Ranger?
No.
He's so good. You would love him.
I've seen the YouTube guy, right? Yeah. Okay.
He does a lot of Chinese. He's in China and Asia, and actually, those would be foods to get into. But that's what. Anytime he goes to different restaurants, and anytime he eats on street food, and he goes, it's so aromatic. But he's really good. Food Ranger on YouTube.
Do you know what's interesting?
Yeah.
Speaking of like shows about cooking shows, I have noticed there is no longer shows that teach you how to cook.
There are some, but they're very few.
Like recipes, like
Yeah.
you know.
Oh yeah, like the morning shows and stuff. You know what I mean? Like yeah.
Nowadays, it's all reality shows and all of this weird stuff, and I can't. I want to learn how to cook something great, and the best place is YouTube to go for that stuff.
True.
But you have to go to the right places because I don't want to be taught by someone that wasn't trained for 20 years.
Sure.
You know, I want the.
You want the superior, supremo teaching.
Anyways, that's what I've noticed is YouTube is probably the best place to learn how to cook, although you have to go to the right places.
It's true. It's very true. To jump into gaming, let's bring this back.
We're a gaming podcast.
Let's bring this back into gaming. Dirt 5 is our Game Club Game of the Month. We've got, about a week left in this month? A week and a half left in this month. If you've not had a chance to try out Dirt 5, download it. It's on Game Pass. Try it out. Join us over on Discord on the Game Club channel. Discuss it there. It's a blast. Barbara Blake has been playing a lot of Dirt 5. Jordan, you've been playing the multiplayer on Dirt 5.
Yeah, I've actually played more multiplayer on it than I have the campaign.
Well, I feel like you get more points out of doing multiplayer.
Because you get the same point, like you get the campaign dollars, and they're all the same dollars, the D dollars or whatever they're called.
The big D
dirt
dollars.
So
Ds.
I actually jumped in the playground mode the other day, so there's when you go into multiplayer, so there's the create your own stuff, right, which is cool. Then you go into multiplayer, and there's racing, and I think party mode is what it's called. But it's really fun. Played Capture the Flag on crazy fun maps.
Yeah.
But I like the multiplayer.
Well, it's very arcadey.
What's funny
it has a distinct flavor.
And I'm still fairly early in the campaign because I've been playing a lot of multiplayer. I go back to the campaign and I get bored because multiplayer is cutthroat. Yeah, they slam you into the walls. I nailed someone.
Good for you.
Yeah. He gave me a little rub,
Oh yeah.
And rubbing's racing, as we've learned from Days of Thunder, right? So I got mad.
Yeah, and you said no. And
and I'm like, what that? So anyway, I happened to come up on him on a turn, and I hit him. So it was me, him, and then the wall, and he tagged the wall, and his car flipped around. It felt good.
Vengeance.
Yeah,
Vengeance is sweet.
Yeah, it felt good.
In Dirt
and
5.
I just thought in my head, like, hey man,
Don't mess with me.
rubbing's racing.
That is funny. You know what game I've jumped into to relaxing? Speaking of creating my pleasure palace of gaming, Red Dead Redemption campaign. I jumped into Red Dead Redemption Online because I saw, there's new things available.
Yeah.
No, Red Dead Redemption Online enrages me. Like there are 4-letter words that I would like to use right now that I'm refraining myself from using because it enrages me that much. There is so much potential in Red Dead Online just because of the world that you've created, and they bend you over. Like, it should be called Bend Me Over Online,
Yeah.
not Red Dead Online, because everything costs
BMO
money.
Online.
BMO Online. No, because everything they have all these new. They have two new things to go for that I can't do unless I want to pay. Their battle pass is 100 levels of suck.
Which isn't it 20? Is it 20 or 25 bucks?
And it's $20.
Yeah, 20 bucks. Which is
levels of suck.
Yeah.
Which 20
There's
bucks?
nothing. There's what is there? Maybe a thing for my horse. Like, whoop-de-doo. Give me some cool stuff.
20 bucks is a lot for a battle pass, especially when every other battle pass, minus a few,
Yeah.
are $10. So you're talking 20 bucks to get into the season battle pass,
And you
plus
can't-
another additional to get your jobs. It's just they're nickel and diming you.
Yeah, you got to pay on top of that to get the different jobs to do if you want to do the different. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go back to the single player campaign and play it. I've yet to play it on the Series X. There's no upgrade for it, but there's that performance boost
Well, yeah.
just from no loading screens. And if you want loading screens that are long, you play a Grand Theft Auto, you play a Rockstar game, you play a Red Dead Redemption. Let me tell you, the loading screens are cut by 3/4. There's like basically no loading screens now. And I will say this, the first time we all went through Red Dead Redemption at the same time when it first launched. And I think because of that, I really rushed the main story. Like, I just bulled through it because I'm like, I got to keep up with Jordan. Jordan's a power leveler, just so that I can keep up with the story. This time, I'm going very slow. I'm discovering stuff. And I think it's one of the best worlds ever created.
It really is. They do a good job.
It's so good. And
It feels alive.
they do such a good job of feeling alive. And what is that game? 2 or 3 years old now? Was it 3 years old?
Yeah,
I
something
think
like
two.
that.
I would say two.
It is so good in
look it
the
up.
respect that as you're going, like, there's wildlife coming, there's people walking, there's conversations on the side of the road. They engage with you. The way that they handle a tutorial system is it makes you feel like you're randomly discovering stuff when you're not. It's just very good game design. And
Well, it is 3. It is 3 years.
yeah, 2018
Yeah.
looks like.
I was thinking 2019.
October 26, 2018.
Yeah.
2.5
So
years.
I think it's one of the best, if not the best, world that's out there in gaming. Now, I haven't finished or played Cyberpunk. There's some big patches coming. So
Well,
I played it, but I haven't finished it at all. I'm going to go back when it's done.
Cyberpunk has a potential for a great world.
Yeah, Cyberpunk is going to be interesting to see if it can match it. But Rockstar has this distinct style of the world with these characters and with this just cool stuff. Like, one of the things I'm enjoying doing is in the areas I'm going after all of, like, the collecting all the cigarette cards, which I didn't do in the first playthrough because I was power with it. And as you do it, you're meeting different people, getting all the glyphs on all the cliffs. There's stuff like that. There's just, it's so good, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful world, a beautiful game. I can't wait. I will buy if Rockstar's MO with Red Dead is making you buy shit. I will buy. Even though I already own the game, the Series X upgrade, if it is legit, because it's already beautiful. I can't imagine what it is if you take advantage of the Series X.
Yeah.
And also, can I just say, it is nice to be back in a single player game by myself. It's the ultimate relaxation. I'm not worried about competing with anybody or anybody side cocking me or anything like that. You know, cold cocking me,
Rubbing you?
rubbing me.
Yeah.
Yes, Jordan.
Rubbing's
told us
racing.
about it.
Yeah.
No, it's really good. I'm super impressed.
It was a really well done game.
Anyways, that brings us to. Sorry, I just wanted to.
No,
talk
that
about
was your
like-
your soapbox moment.
That was
Then.
therapeutic for me to.
Very
I've been
good.
loving being back in Red Dead Redemption though. In serious, I think I'm enjoying it more this second playthrough than the first one because I'm not rushing. Don't rush your gaming, guys.
Well, so here's my deal. When I played that, I wasn't rushing up until about chapter 4.
Okay.
Chapter 4 or 5. The one right before where you go somewhere. And then once you go somewhere, you're like, I want to know what happens. And then
Yeah.
I think everybody did that. And then you didn't realize that when you did that, you kind of bypass all the achievements.
lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
there's
And-
2 achievements that you miss if you don't do certain things in that. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. So I want to go back and play it, but I'm afraid that I will just get impatient again because it's a long game.
Yeah, but here's the thing: since you already know the story, like I don't find myself being impatient at all. I find myself sitting back and enjoying it. Because two things. I'm not trying to keep up with anybody, and I already know the story.
Did you start a new game?
So I started a completely new game. Completely over from scratch. I mean, I kept my old save file, obviously.
I might go back and do the 100% meter.
And that's actually my goal. So what I'm doing is in every area, like I'm just in chapter 1. I've come down out of the mountains now, which there's a lot there too that you miss if you don't take your time. It's so good. Anyways, I'm come down out of the mountains and I'm just exploring like right around Valentine, and I'm going through and just really exploring every part of that map to get all of the stuff that's around that, talking to all the characters in town, trying to learn their stories, doing stuff with the train and the mail that I just completely skipped last time because I was like, right, next story, moving on to the next story.
Well, that game has so many like dynamic events that appeared that other people didn't have that I had, and I know other people have shared their stories that I didn't have.
Yeah,
like I was in the New Orleans town, whatever, I can't remember what.
Saint Denis.
Saint Denis. And I'm just like walking my horse down, and then all of a sudden, all these railroad workers, they all jump. They're climbing over the fences. A whole group of them just run, chasing me down, and start attacking me. And I have no idea. I think it was a riot. Like I think a railroad riot happened and started killing everybody around me. And I just got out of there.
Yeah, that's funny.
And no one else that I've talked to had that happen to them.
Oh, I will see. I will.
But they all I experienced a riot, and I was just a bystander. I didn't cause it.
With the rail workers, I'll
look for it.
Yeah, I'll look for it.
But I think it's like totally a dynamic event that.
Yeah, they did a really good job. It truly is a masterpiece, and I'm blown away by it. Big news: we haven't had any news from Microsoft in about 3 months. In all reality, there's been a little bit of stuff that's come up, but overall, Microsoft has not shared a lot of stuff like we were getting in around December.
Yeah.
We did get some news this week that a smaller event is coming this month, next week actually.
Yeah.
March 26th. Jordan, tell us a little bit about that event.
The event is coming on March 26th. It revolves around ID at Xbox, so it's a lot of the independent developers.
Games. So we're not getting any big, heavy hitter AAA games announced, but we are going to see a lot of these independent studios.
But it did say, I'll read it right here from the article that was, I think it was pulled from Xbox Wire.
This one, Xbox Wire and Windows Central.
So Microsoft will reveal new gameplay trailers for previously announced independent titles, including highly anticipated Stalker 2.
Yeah.
Which very cool.
And The Ascent.
Stalker
2 is interesting. This is a game that I don't think any of us played, the first Stalker. But it's a game that when the trailer dropped, everybody said you need to play Stalker 2. Everybody in chat, everybody in the community, or the Stalker. It kind of passed us, went over our heads during the announcement when we saw it. But everybody says it's a very, very good game.
Because we've never played, at least me, I've never played.
And I believe it has
Stalker,
interesting mechanics. I don't remember. People were telling me about the mechanics, and it sounded cool. Do you guys remember? I don't remember quite what the mechanics are. But Stalker is not a game to sleep on.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, I was actually surprised that you would call this an indie game, but I guess
Yeah.
Another cool thing, jumping a little ahead in the article here, is there's going to be brand new game announcements from developers and publishers, and the publishers that will be there are Drinkbox, Curve Digital, Devolver Digital.
I love those guys.
Dear Villagers and others. So there's going to be a lot of indie developers there, or a lot of indie developers and a lot of indie publishers there, and we're going to get some pretty cool announcements. I mean, some of the games, sometimes you hear the word indie and you're like, oh, yeah, but to be honest, man, some of the games I've put the most hours in have been indie. Think of Minecraft. Minecraft was an indie game.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Valheim's an indie game.
All of the games I've put the most time in has all been indie games.
So
what would you do if Valheim came to Xbox?
That'd be cool. We'd have to start all over again.
Would you start over?
You'd have to.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd have an option.
And how the game works, you'd kind of want to start over.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of carry your character gear to other worlds.
Yeah, we have our own personal server that we use. I think I might do like Tarkov wipes every 8 months, just to keep it fresh again, to get it fresh again, But no, very good. Yeah, this announcement. No, I think they're smart. I think they learned their lesson because they got a lot of feedback. Let's call it feedback. They got a lot of feedbacks, with, I thought this was going to be a big show. So I think they're actually very I think they're very conscious of saying, yeah, this show's going to be very tiny.
Yeah.
And then, so to not get everybody hyped up and then
to manage expectations.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
managing expectations
which
this
is
time around.
which is really good. I think it's really smart of them. Even even the Bethesda thing when they did a couple weeks ago, they said, hey, it's just going to be a round table. We're just talking. It's nothing special. But there was some actually really cool announcements in there. So I think the saying it's smaller, not getting people hyped up, like the big E3 press conference, kind of goes in your favor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with that. Going back. Can we go back to Stalker real quick? Well, not.
Oh, sure.
I just want to talk about it real quick. What I mean, going back. I looked it up here. Here. What? Hold on one second.
You're getting a lot of messages.
Yeah. This is not my computer.
Yeah. Ding.
Stalker. This is Stalker. So Stalker stands for, it's an acronym for scavengers, trespassers, adventurers, loners, killers, explorers, and robbers. It's a series of first-person shooter survival horror video games developed by Ukrainian video game developer GCS Game World for Microsoft Windows. The games are set in the area surrounding the Chernobyl disaster site, colloquially known as the Zone, in an alternative reality where a second explosion occurs at the Chernobyl nuclear plant 20 years after the first and causes strange changes in the area. So I remember that that's what people were saying, that it's very much people will come after you.
Yeah.
And for other objects because you don't have that much loot, right? So it's very survivalist like that. And then listen to this: anomalies are in it. Anomalies also often produce items known as artifacts. This is within Stalker, the game, with special physical properties such as anti-gravity or absorbing radiation. People known as stalkers enter the zone in hopes of finding such items for personal finance gain. While a great number of stalkers work alone, various factions populate the zone, each with their own philosophies and goals. For example, the Duty faction believe that the zone is the greatest threat to humanity on the planet and are intent in destroying it by any means. By contrast, the Freedom faction believe the zone should be accessible to all. It sounds cool.
Well, it's giving me like a Metro Exodus vibe.
Metro Exodus combined
maybe a little bit more hardcore survival. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Metro Exodus combined with, what was the game that we were just recently playing where...
Rust.
No. Where you guys were creating characters, like I was a character, and there was factions in it.
Cyberpunk.
Was it Wasteland? Wasteland 3?
Outriders?
No.
Wasteland 3. Yeah, Wasteland 3.
Wasteland 3. They sound very, very Wasteland 3-ish.
Yeah, just first-person shooter.
First-person shooter but very heavy on survival, hard to get objects, stuff like that. So that's Stalker. That's Stalker 2. So I'm excited to learn more about Stalker 2 because literally after Stalker, everybody in comments, it was actually in our reaction video on YouTube to Stalker, everybody in comments was like, this is Stalker. This is what it is. You guys need to play it. It's a game that we've all missed, probably because it was just on Windows and we're not necessarily main Windows gamers. We're Xbox gamers.
Yeah. So this event is, what do we say? It was March 26th, so that's next Friday.
Yep.
So we'll be talking about it. It will be on the Twitch gaming channel and the Xbox Twitch channel. It starts at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, which is 4 p.m. UK time. Yep. And that'll be, like we said, next Friday, March 26th. So be sure to tune in, and we'll get to see some good stuff.
Big news also for anyone who has iOS and has wanted to experience Xcloud on iOS. News dropped this week that Xcloud is coming to iOS very soon, according to PureXbox.com.
And they winked at the camera.
They winked at the camera, yeah. It was stated in a new cloud gaming official walkthrough video posted on the Xbox YouTube channel where the Xbox Cloud Gaming VP of Engineering, Kevin, I can't say his last name. We'll just call him Kevin. Kev. He gave the following tease along with a wink.
Yeah, he said it's coming soon, and he winked at the camera.
He said, "Oh yes, we've already announced that they're bringing it to the iOS and PC early this year. So I won't give you specific dates, but it's not very far." Wink.
It was funny. It was a good wink.
Which is big. The fact that they're not letting Apple tell them no, and they're not stopping shows you, I think, in my mind, how central the cloud is to the future of their. I mean, if you think about it, if Game Pass is going to be your selling point, you have to be on mobile devices in order to really make a splash and to scale that bad boy up. So I like that. Thoughts on anything spicy that we've...
You guys are doing great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're doing great on the show.
I saw you looking up Devolver Digital.
No, yeah, I was just gonna say because they're gonna be there. They're one of my favorite like indie devs, and I was just looking up all the games that they've developed. I mean, I've mentioned this on the show a million times, but They were the ones who published Hotline Miami,
Yeah.
1 and 2. One of my favorite games of all time. One of the greatest soundtracks of all time. Shadow Warrior, 1 and 2. Enter the Gungeon, my friend Pedro.
Yeah, you
remember
like
My
that?
that.
friend Pedro
Yeah.
is so fun. My friend Pedro is the 2D platformer of what Matrix was.
Yeah, right on. It's a great time. No, I'm just excited to see those guys. Whenever they get involved, it's gonna be a good time. If you remember when we went to E3, when was that? Was that 2018?
The first
The
one?
first time?
The first one.
The first one?
Yeah.
They were like the cool kids not on the block.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where they were. So usually in E3, you have the huge LA center, and it's just a massive block,
Yeah, it's
several
huge.
block building, that all the developers go in there. They were the first ones that I know of that just rented a parking lot across the street. Probably saved them a ton of money.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, have some free nachos, have free drinks, come play games with us.
Yeah.
And they rented a whole bunch of Airbuses, like those
The
trailers and stuff.
Airstreams or whatever. Yeah.
They are cool. They are just cool people.
Yeah. No,
And
it was cool.
And they publish really, really fun games.
They also have their own conference, and their conference is a pre-recorded.
Yeah. The crazy conference.
It's a story.
It's a pre-recorded incident that is hilarious, crazy, and awesome, all wrapped into one.
If you have never seen one of their press conferences, you're missing out. Just make sure the kids are in bed before you watch it. It gets pretty bloody.
So everything has been signed and dotted. Xbox and Bethesda. We talked about it last week. It's a done deal. We then got leaks from insiders that this next we're going to have an event, the Microsoft's E3 event, quote unquote.
Yeah, their summer smash.
Yeah, and at it, Starfield is going to be talked about,
that's
according
wonderful.
to some insiders who have not been wrong, who have a good track record. And the question is, Starfield. He says Starfield's going to be revealed, but the question is, does it launch this year? And I think, based on Bethesda's track record, if they're going to talk about it, it's going to launch this year in fall.
I hope so. Yeah.
And the insider, I can't remember the insider's name, so I apologize. But he says he does think it's going to launch this year. They're going to talk about it. But the question is, do we think Starfield is going to be exclusive to Xbox? I'm going to go out on a limb. Granted, we don't know what, because if it wasn't, the only reason it wouldn't be is that there was already contracts in place for this game. That's the only way that it wouldn't be. I'm going to say there was no contracts in place for this game, and that it is going to be exclusive to Xbox. What do you say, Jordan?
When we say Xbox, what do we mean? Do we mean the Xbox brand or Game Pass?
When Xbox is the umbrella that incorporates,
Because
Game
you know
Pass.
Microsoft and their naming,
Yeah.
we got to work on it. But when we say Xbox, meaning Game Pass, I think it'll be Xbox and like Phil Spencer said, anywhere Game Pass is available,
Yeah.
that's where it'll be.
No,
That's what I think.
exclusive to Xbox. That's
Yeah.
what exclusive to Xbox means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say...
Well, I think exclusive to Game Pass is because
I'm
it's
gonna-
technically on the PC,
No, but that's I think that's all the Xbox brand.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm going to say this one, no.
Yeah. You think contracts were already in place for this one?
Yeah, I think this one, it's too early. And I think they just have too many things rolling with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that this one is not. But going forward after this one, it will be.
Yeah. Now, Starfield, we don't know a lot. There's not a lot out there on Starfield other than it's a sci-fi RPG type game that has everybody super excited and, takes place in space. Obviously, it's called Starfield.
Maybe. I mean, maybe it's something
Maybe
weird.
it's something completely different. That's,
Yeah. Garfield.
yeah. But regardless, let's pretend this is like the next IP from Bethesda the next Skyrim.
Well, this
or
is
the next big one.
This is exciting because this is Bethesda's first new IP.
Yeah,
Since
in a while.
When did Arena come out?
Well, we have
92?
We have Deathloop. Deathloop is coming, but that's not going. That one's definitely not going to be exclusive because that has a contract with PlayStation.
I do think it'll also be this year though as well. I think it'll be their big holiday game. I mean, actually, I don't know. It's gonna be hard because you got Halo, which is supposedly coming out this year as well.
Yep.
You don't want to necessarily stack two big ones next to each other.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Do you push one of them a little, into January of next year, or do you put them both during your holiday season?
The more the better. The more you have, why not? It's because you're
Well,
selling
I
Game
think-
Pass.
I think EA taught us that the more the better is not great. Remember what they did with Titanfall 2 and Battlefield?
Yeah, but
And then
yeah.
they smashed them both between.
But on
Call
Game
of
Pass,
Duty.
it doesn't matter
I guess you're right.
That's
I guess
true.
that's a good point. Yeah,
because it
that's
will
a good
always
point.
be there. So you just
Yeah.
want people. Yep, I'm getting Game Pass. Let's do it.
Yeah.
We did do a poll on our YouTube community page.
Yeah.
We dropped a lot of polls.
I'm looking at this poll and now I'm saying, I am that 3%.
Yeah.
I guess I'm an
That's-
idiot.
that's-
Yeah,
you.
we dropped a poll. We actually did quite a few different polls this week, and that's how we're gonna do it going forward. Almost daily, there'll be daily polls, questions that you can participate in. So make sure you come subscribe to us on YouTube, and those will pop up in your feed if you hit that notification bell. The question was, we asked you, will Starfield be an Xbox exclusive? 3% said no.
That's
So
me.
the spicy 3%.
All right.
The options were yes, no, or who cares, it's on Game Pass. 16% says who cares, it's on Game Pass. And 81% overwhelmingly says they do believe it will be exclusive on the Xbox. I hope that's correct, only because I think Microsoft's making the right moves, and I would like to see them succeed with these moves. I'm partial to Xbox, obviously, in the Game Pass, as this is an Xbox podcast. And I think, well, as long as Starfield's good. Watch It just sucks.
Yeah.
That's right. Stop saying that. That's what you said about Cyberpunk.
And
And
then
I
it
had
did.
all this. I've been waiting for that game for years.
Well, it didn't suck, but
and
it did
you
not
said,
drop correctly.
watch this game suck. And it just came out flawed.
Yeah.
Because of you. I
jinxed
blame
it.
you.
I jinxed it.
Don't say that to this game.
No, I think Microsoft. I think they come out swinging. I think they say, "Hey, look, we got Bethesda, and now we have Starfield."
Yeah.
So I think they. I mean, they dropped how much money? $7.5 billion. Just buy out that one contract.
Yeah.
Let the other one sit. Just buy that one out. I mean,
That's
when you're
that's
dropping
very
that
true.
much money,
Just do it, baby.
yeah.
Jordan, we also, in talking about Game Pass, I mean, there's
Game Pass had a
the
big
value for Game Pass. We say this every week, is undeniable. It just went from undeniable to
Holy-
unadulterated, holy crap,
Yeah.
orgasmic pleasure of
Well,
content.
should we? I mean, yeah.
Let's talk about it. The first game, the
well-
big one that we've been talking about it.
Well, so
coming,
yes. So the big one
coming to announced on day one, launching on
day
Game
one.
Pass.
Outriders.
Oh yes,
Which the three of us are very excited for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
That's very cool. Outriders coming day one, which is April 1st. Day one, Game Pass, you own it.
you own
It's-
it, baby.
It's yours. And if you play the demo, all your stuff still carries over.
So fun observation here.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say fun fact because some people take that too literal.
That's an inside joke from before the earlier in the show.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I'm. Anyways, I won't say.
Yeah.
I actually just caught myself there.
Yeah. We'll have to
Fun
post show.
Post show.
This will
Come
be a
join Arbiter Status and Higher. Come join us.
come join us post show. Remind us to talk about the story that we can't talk about publicly.
Yeah. Anyways, fun fact. Not literally. I don't even know what I was saying. Oh, yeah, look at this. Look at this. I think this is really interesting. So everybody was comparing originally like Outriders to Destiny, even though we know they're completely separate games. But I would definitely lump them in the same
Genre?
spectrum.
I'd say they're in the same genre.
Yeah, of a division of a Destiny. If Destiny is the number one game of its version, it is on Game Pass. Now you have Outriders. It's quote unquote competition, although it's not actually its competition. I don't think they're competing in that same space necessarily. But if you're Game Pass, this is why Microsoft, with the Game Pass model, the traditional way, like you just said, Jordan, like, well, look at what EA did with Titanfall and Battlefield, and it just crushed Titanfall 2 because they released them too close together, and then Call of Duty was there. With Game Pass, it shifts the strategy so that you don't. That doesn't matter. Yes, we have Destiny, and we also have Outriders. Another reason to join Game Pass, right? Like, if whether you like Destiny, whether you like Outriders, come join us. I think.
And I can give you two more reasons to join.
Yeah,
Game
and
Pass.
here's two more. Anyways, I just think Game Pass is the model going forward. And if you don't see it yet, and there's a lot of people out there that think like they've got to be losing a ton of money on this. You've got to realize Microsoft is willing to lose money for years. A lot of companies, a lot of startups, the way that startups, I've worked for a couple startups now, and the way that startups work is they lose money for years. Some startups that we use that are super popular apps that the whole world uses still have not made any money, but everybody's using them. So the potential's there, right? Like, so the people are willing to lose money for years for this higher goal, and that is Game Pass. So whether or not they're making money on it yet, it's scalable. The idea of Game Pass is scalable in the same way that Netflix is scalable, or Disney Plus is scalable, or Amazon Prime is scalable, and that is why it's a model for the future because the value is so undeniable.
Well, and that's just with the assumption if they are losing money.
Yeah,
We don't know.
Well, I mean, they're gaining subscribers hand
which is
over
good,
fist
yeah.
because the value is undeniable.
Yeah.
Again.
Well, and the value just increased again this week because we got a huge announcement, 2 big announcements.
So not only Outriders, day one.
Not only Outriders, but a very fun side-scrolling RPG with, I think, one of the best art styles out there, Octopath Traveler, that launched on the Nintendo.
It's not really side-scrolling. It's like bird's eye view.
Well, it's
2/3.
It's a hybrid.
It's a
2.3?
hybrid. Yeah, it's a hybrid.
Hybrid.
Yeah, it's a hybrid. Octopath Traveler.
So good. Have that on the Switch.
Yeah. It is one of the best Nintendo games you'll ever play. I think it did come to Steam last year, but it's coming to the Xbox on Game Pass March 25th, so not too far away. That's just next week. Very cool. And in addition to that, yesterday we got a drop of a ton of games via EA Play, now available on Xbox Game Pass for PC. So if you're a Game Pass Ultimate member and you got a gaming PC, you now have the EA Play catalog right there on the Game Pass app. There's only one criticism I have of that. I think it's awesome that we're getting new games. I don't like that when you go to the EA Play tab, you actually have to load the EA launcher now. It's a separate thing. I wish they could have done something. I mean, I
merge it all together.
Yeah, I wish they could have merged it all together to be in one place. I mean, that's the appeal of Steam, right? It's a one-stop shop. But anyway, so you have EA Play this week.
Boom.
You have Outriders coming April 1st, and you have Octopath Traveler, which I think is one of the best story games out there. It's best story RPGs. It's really cool how they do it with the different characters and how they and the art style. I mean, maybe the art style is not for everybody. I think the art style is awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna say something crazy here,
Uh-oh.
and everybody, this is crazy time.
So
Everybody, don't
sit
judge
down.
me.
Everybody sit down.
This is based on 0 things, but what if? This is a giant what if. Octopath Traveler, Outriders,
Are both
Square Enix. The rumor was that Sony was going after Square Enix. What if there was some truth to that rumor in that someone big is going after? They just mixed it up. What if Microsoft is going after Square Enix? We know at the very least they're going after them for Game Pass purposes. I mean, we're getting all the we have all the Final Fantasies. We have the Kingdom Hearts.
minus
there
the
now.
one that I want.
Yeah, we have the final. We have the Kingdom. That's probably a contract issue.
Let's get it done. Let the people play.
Yeah.
So what if Microsoft is the one going after?
Well, this will
Square
be interesting.
Enix?
I was thinking about this too because Octopath Traveler and Outriders are both Square Enix. They're both published by Square Enix. It could be interesting. I don't know. We were talking about this the other day. Me personally, I don't think it would happen just because of this. And this is just, I think this is a cultural thing. Square Enix is Japanese based.
Yeah.
Sony is Japanese based. I feel like
There's a cultural loyalty there.
Cultural loyalty.
Yeah, cultural loyalty. I feel like they're very. I mean, look what they're doing. They're still bringing a lot of stuff to Xbox. Obviously, it benefits them to put their stuff wherever they
Game
can
Pass, yeah.
on Game Pass, or else they wouldn't do it. I do think Phil Spencer and the Xbox team is building good relationships with these Japanese developers, which is fantastic.
Amazing.
Because then we get more games, and then they think, oh, hey, homeland loyalty, but look at these guys over here. Let's go with them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know if they ever would sell to an outside company, I guess.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, there's
Well, regardless, look at just having them on Game Pass. So let's say that's not the case because that's just a big giant what if. And we never knew about Bethesda. Bethesda came out of left field.
Yeah.
And so the only reason there's speculation or there would be any speculation is because of what happened with Bethesda. Bethesda shook the gaming world hard.
It's still shaking.
It's still shaking it. What would it do to the gaming world if Square Enix was announced?
it would blow it up.
Yeah.
It would
Like you would have, those videos of like people protesting like Trump's election and they're like screaming, like the girls screaming. They're like on the ground.
that would
I think
have-
that's what we would have
Yeah, that would
in the
have-
gaming world. Like we'd have that equivalent.
Yeah, someone would.
People would freak out,
Yeah.
whether for or against. It would be.
I would freak
It
out
would
in a
be
positive
chaos.
way because I happen to lean towards the Microsoft side.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
I would freak out in a
I'd
positive
run around
way.
my neighborhood naked.
Yeah.
In celebration, just shouting Square Enix.
Just have all my blinds shut then when you do.
That would be giant.
Yeah. What do you think?
What do you think, Spicy? Is that crazy?
Well, I mean,
Am
that's
I
a
just crazy
big
talk?
deal. That's a big deal. So yes, that would shake things.
Yeah, big.
Who else is left?
Blizzard.
I guess Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
But like, they're really they're going for it.
So
Trash Panda said there would be huge riots in the street, and the mass public would have no
No
idea
idea.
why. Yeah, your general people would be like, "What are these people rioting?
what's going on?
They're holding up signs,
Yeah,
Square
I
Enix.
don't know if that would ever happen, just because my biggest thing, and this may be just, I think it's cultural loyalty. I think the Japanese culture in Japan is very
Loyal to
loyal to their.
Here's the thing.
which
though.
is not a bad thing.
Here's the thing.
you know?
Look at why Game Pass is such a good idea from a business standpoint for Microsoft, in my opinion. So you have Sony versus Microsoft, right? And you have, hey, come buy an Xbox. You're trying to get people to not necessarily not buy a PlayStation, but to buy your product as Microsoft. That's your ultimate end goal. You have people that love Square Enix games. Let's say you're a fan of Final Fantasy. Let's say you're a fan of Octopath Traveler, and you just or Outriders. You really like Square Enix games. You can get them on a PlayStation where you're going to pay $60 for each of the games that you want to play, or you can now come over to Game Pass. You don't even have to buy an Xbox, but you can come over to Game Pass. If you have a PC, you can still have your PlayStation, and you're now getting all your Square Enix games on Game Pass, through Game Pass, where you're not paying $60 for each of those individual titles. It's a huge selling point.
Well, see, and maybe that's the strategy. Say, hey, you could spend $60 a piece for these Square Enix games over here, or you can come to Game Pass. And
Well, the
have
strategy-
them all.
See, they don't even need to buy Square Enix to do that. They're doing that now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
well,
true.
yeah,
but
that's what- yeah.
no. But see, if you buy Square Enix,
Then it doesn't go anywhere else.
Then it doesn't go anywhere else. Then it says
That's true.
It's here on Game Pass, and that's next level.
See, and that's another thing. The amount of popularity the PlayStation itself has in Japan, and the amount of popularity Square Enix has in Japan. I mean, do you think I guess in different regions you can have different rules.
Yeah.
But I think that's a hard buy. I think for Microsoft, I think it's a hard buy.
I think it's why xCloud is so important to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think isn't the statistic that the majority of like xCloud users right now are in is it South Korea? I want to say it's Asia.
It's Asian market.
countries
Yeah, Asian
are
market.
used to these like mobile type games. Why Nintendo does so well?
Yeah, the
you know what I
internet
mean?
cafe,
the internet
type
cafe
thing,
stuff
yeah.
like that. And so I think you could having xCloud, having Game Pass tied to xCloud.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes it easier for
Yeah,
that type
and
of deal to happen.
Outriders is one of the cloud games. It's coming to cloud, so it's console and cloud.
Yeah.
Octopath Traveler.
It's blowing my mind. Again, gaming in the next 10 years is going to completely change. And this isn't even taking into account new technologies that are coming up. Beyond graphical technologies, we're talking crypto technologies, blockchain technologies, NFT technologies that's all the craze right now. That's going to come to gaming. And it's going to come in a big way. And all of this combined, it's just blowing my mind.
There's too much.
I'm sitting here, my head hurts now.
It's an overload.
It's an overload.
Just stop thinking about it like me. See? It's
Done.
easy.
Done.
Start thinking about dinner.
One more.
Yeah,
Yakuza.
speaking of, sorry, I forgot that one because of the other two are. But this one's cool too. Yakuza 6, The Song of Life coming to Game Pass as well, same day as Octopath Traveler on March 25th.
Now this is the other big rumor of who the Japanese developer of who Microsoft is looking at is Sega, and that's who develops Yakuza here. Yeah. Sega would be big because of just the sheer amount of content you would gain with Sega.
Yeah,
and they're doing similar.
If
things.
they got Sega, they could do like a Super Smash Brothers.
Well, and they really could.
Because you'd have Sonic.
With Sega. They're doing similar things with Sega. You've got all the Yakuzas, which is Sega. You've got Football Manager, which fun fact, Sega.
Yeah, Sega does a lot.
Not literally fun fact, but fun fact, also Sega. And I mean, the sheer amount of content you get with Sega. Now, I don't see. I think the reason Square Enix would be a bigger deal. And again, this is crazy talk. We know it's just for fun. I think they have bigger titles more recently than a Sega.
Well, I think they have more well-known titles.
Yeah.
I think to be honest, they probably have more popular titles with Final Fantasy alone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that are active recent games.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, but also another game. Talking a lot about games this week. Gotham Knights. A
co-op Batman game.
Yeah, the co-op Batman game. The spin-off Batman series starring a younger roster of characters. It is being pushed back to 2022. That's 2 Warner Brother games this year. We had Harry Potter or Hogwarts Legacy, that was pushed back.
Yeah.
And then we have now Gotham Knights just announced this week that they're being pushed back as well.
Well, it's very interesting to me that they're getting pushed back. And if you remember, AT&T, who is the parent company of Time Warner, or vice versa, I think AT&T is the parent company of Time Warner, and they were looking at selling Time Warner, and it was rumored that
Time
Microsoft,
Warner's WB, right?
Yeah,
and
WB.
this is WB Games, which is a
WB
branch
Games,
of
yeah,
them.
and WB Games. So this WB Games was rumored that they wanted to offload that. I don't think that it's a coincidence that everything's being delayed in the same year that, or not the same year, I guess, but
Maybe Microsoft is buying them.
no, I don't think so. But I wonder if there's some reorganization going on there, or there's something there that might be happening, and we do see an acquisition for WB Games
From someone.
and not necessarily Microsoft, but.
That is funny. Who is left to buy?
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Like, it's
who
gonna.
do you
I mean,
buy now?
there obviously
Yeah.
is more left, but Microsoft's been doing a really good job of just buying everybody.
Well, what's interesting is they honestly, who has kind of paved the way for them is Netflix. Because if you look at Netflix, I was having this conversation with my family last week. Netflix sucks right now.
You're not far off. It's
No,
that-
right
yeah,
now.
it's-
So Netflix used to be where everything was. You would go there, and when you browse it now, the only things you see there are Netflix originals, which are not bad.
Yeah, there's some good ones.
But the sheer amount of content, you don't just randomly browse. You're like, ooh, look at what Netflix.
Well, because
got.
everybody's doing their own
Because
thing now.
everybody has their own. So Netflix was the only one, the first one. They paved the way, and they had everything, and everybody let them develop the model and say, okay, this works well. And then Disney said, well, shoot, man, we've got way more. We got all the content that
We got
everybody's
Mickey.
watching. Let's do our own. So Disney does their own. Amazon does their thing. Paramount Plus now does their thing type of deal. HBO Max does their thing, which HBO Max, in my opinion,
I hear is actually one
best.
of the. Yeah.
So I don't have it. I'm using my sister-in-law's, and it is the best by far. It's not even close.
I'm pretty sure there's no one in this planet that doesn't share their Netflix or
Yeah.
Paramount Plus account or
Or
that's
is it
how
like-
the world works.
yeah. But so anyway, so Netflix had all the content, but didn't own it. They were just the middleman and enabled it for streaming
The
purposes.
delivery system.
And slowly, it's all been taken away. When you look, since that's already been done, Microsoft is kind of in a position doing it the opposite way. We need to own this content that we're putting here on this Game Pass
Yeah, 'cause
streaming service,
things like
because
Bethesda,
that's what's
yeah.
going to keep us long term. Because imagine if Blizzard decided, let's say that you have Blizzard, you have Square Enix, you have Bethesda, and then eventually, oh, hey, we could do our own streaming service, type of deal.
Well, the thing is,
peels it away. They're
is-
kind of doing. They're kind of coming from it after the fact. I think.
I think the big difference is Microsoft is one of the only companies that has the power to do that via money.
Sure.
You know, because look at EA Play. They tried to do it. It didn't work because they only have their catalog.
Yeah.
The appeal of Game Pass is like early Netflix. They have a lot of people's catalog.
Yeah.
Not to mention they have the resources to do it. I think the only other person that probably could do it is it's platform holders like Nintendo and Sony. I think are the only ones that can do it because it makes sense for them to do it. It makes more sense for Microsoft to do Game Pass than it does for Ubisoft to do the Ubisoft Plus.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean?
But when Ubisoft comes out with Ubisoft Plus and it sucks to try to find anything or download anything.
Yeah.
Or even EA. We see EA. And
Well, yeah,
EA Access, which
EA
has had-
Play,
which
which-
has had success.
Not as much success.
Kind of
as-
merging now
yeah.
and seeing like you have to be a platform.
Yeah, and that's why I think platforms have an advantage because it's come get the Xbox and get this, or come get the Nintendo and get this.
Will Steam go to a platform model? To a pass model.
You know who I think will?
Huh.
Epic. I think Epic has that kind of money, that kind of power.
Yeah, they buy a lot of people
They buy-
too.
yeah, they just- you know what? This time, just take all 90% of the profits this time. We don't need it.
And Epic does have their own store. I mean, their own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Store.
they have the power to do that.
Well, and
too.
they're the ones that started like stealing exclusives from the computer. You know, where they're like, oh,
Well,
okay, well,
like a week before launch
Yeah.
too, without even letting Steam know.
yeah,
You know what? We're gonna go with these guys.
Well, and the reason it worked is
What was the big game? Was it Valhalla that did that?
no. There was a really big one.
It was a big launch title, and that's
Was
a
it-
week before.
was it
Steam
Ubis-
didn't even know.
Was it Ubisoft?
No, because they have their own. They have Uplay. What was it? It was something big, and it was like, whoa.
It was a big deal.
Was it
Yeah.
Red Dead?
No.
No,
I'll
no,
look.
no.
Chat might let us
Yeah.
know.
I
I'll look it
remember.
up.
I remember the story. It happened to a couple games though.
Well, I know, like if
They
you
post
like
it.
Rogue Company, if you want to play it on PC, you have to play it through Epic Games. It's only on there. Same with Fortnite, obviously. But yeah, no, I think Game Pass is it's the way to go.
I mean, they're crushing it, and a lot of people were probably gonna get comments like, "You're just a shill for Game Pass." No, I think
know what?
I think it's a genuinely good idea. It benefits me. Like I browse. I do not even browse the Microsoft Store to purchase games. I browse Game Pass.
You know what? I am a shill for the greatest deal in gaming. All right, if that's what you want to call it, for the greatest deal in gaming, then fine. Call me that.
Call me that. Anyways, that brings us to the next segment of our show, the questions. The questions. Okay, como? Question.
You can now listen to us on Telemundo.
We're now bilingual. Ay. Okay. We need to pay someone with like a deep Spanish voice to
Yeah. I love Spanish radio.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Then what we need to do is
Spanish
hire
radio.
a Spanish weatherman lady. Weather girl.
I think you probably can. There's a lot of. Just go down the
Spanish-
downtown and go down that
Spanish
alleyway,
weather-
and
have
you
you
might
s-
find one.
Have you seen those Spanish weather girls?
They are.
They do
Yeah.
not exist in real life. I don't know how I watch Spanish news because it's the best looking news on the planet.
It's really well.
They deliver news with style.
They
Even
always
the men.
have the chubby older gentleman
With a
guy
mustache.
with the
With a
mustache. And but the women are smoking hot.
Yeah, where do they come? Where do they get? I don't see these people walking around.
They're not real. They're
robots.
They're robots. They gotta be.
I mean, yeah. I watch Telemundo.
Yeah, it blows my mind.
I'm pretty sure everyone between the ages of 13 and 19 young men do too.
Yeah, there's Aussie Man Reviews. Have you seen that guy on?
Yeah, he's hilarious.
On YouTube, he always does the weather girls, and he's just like, I don't effing care what the weather. It's so good. It's so hilarious, but it's like wow. It's like drop dead supermodel, gorgeous.
Yeah, Spanish TV. Do you know what's really good? Spanish novelas, man.
Yeah, you watch those.
Yeah, my wife gets into them too, but they're good. They do it different than our novelas.
Traditional, yeah.
Novelas.
Don't they kill everybody
Soap
off?
operas.
Soap opera, yeah.
So I'm like, well, what's the word
can't- he
for
can't translate
General
it.
Hospital.
Yeah, because they go on for 30 years. But Spanish novelas, they kill people off. The series is done in 3 months. It's over.
So the character you love.
They just do it, and it's like, all right, let's go on to the next one.
I've heard that. I've heard they're really good. Really, they
They're
capture
shoving
you.
people down the stairs. It's
It's
it's good.
they're not bad. They're funny. You just got to get past that awkward stage of being like, this is weird. Then you start to get into the story.
Yeah. Dang, I need to watch it.
And then that's how my wife has learned Spanish. One of the reasons she knows Spanish now is because
Yeah,
she
'cause
watches it.
it. Yeah, I heard it's a good way.
There's some good. There's some
Although,
good stuff
then
out
you
there.
just learn. So does she speak dramatically all the time when she speaks
She
Spanish?
only understands Spanish that's spoken dramatically.
Dramatic Spanish.
With serious zooms.
Questions. T-Bucks writes in. Guys, to submit a question, by the way, you can do it every single week over on YouTube on the community channel. Just become a member and submit a question. It's a great time. T-Bucks writes in and says, "What's up, bros? I recently got out of my comfort zone of big AAA games. Mostly shooters is what he plays, sports titles, and but now he played the Ori series.
All right, yeah.
He says, I heard a lot of positive conversations about it, and the reviews were extremely positive, so I gave it a shot, even though platformers indies aren't really my thing, and I absolutely loved every second of it. Now I'm interested in branching out to other genres. Is there a game or game genre that has pleasantly surprised you in this way? Thanks for all you do. Love the show. Keep it up. Great work. Let's go with Spicy. What is a genre that you're like, I don't think so. That you actually make that sound. I don't think so.
But then you've jumped in and been.
But then you jump in and you're like,
Because there's a
"Ooh."
couple genres that I just don't play.
You
right?
jump in and you're like, oh yeah, I kind of like this.
Well, I mean, I have examples in the past that I really enjoy. We were talking about it earlier, the the publisher of it, but Hotline Miami looks terrible.
Yeah, it looks like a stupid game.
It looks
really does.
like a stupid game.
That game is good.
But it is amazing. Wear headphones, play that game on the Switch because you can now, and it is an experience. I that game introduced me to artists like Carpenter Brute, Perturbator, just really, really good musicians that I didn't know existed. And then it led me down a rabbit hole of great music on the indie side of things. And a game did that, right? I would not have seen myself playing that game and enjoying it. Another one is FTL. Did you ever play FTL?
I never played FTL. Everybody tells me I would love it.
It is amazing. It looks terrible. It just does not look. You look at that and you don't understand what's going on. But as you play it and as you learn it, it's one of the greatest replayable games I've ever played. You can play. It changes every time you play. There's so many things you can do with it. The music is outstanding. Yeah, a lot of indie games are like that. They're not necessarily concerned too much about graphically being impressive, and a lot of the cases they purposefully make it, an art style of like 16-bit or they purposely do that. But the gameplay themselves is fantastic. I suggest looking into the indie scene for the last 10 years. There's some good ones, and they're timeless because they're not necessarily concerned about the games aren't meant to be played at high fidelity, high frame rates. They're meant to be played how they're played. Whereas like a first-person shooter, you need that, and as you play better first-person shooters, the other games kind of get, they're kind of dated.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, let's take GoldenEye, one of the greatest games ever made. It has, I think, 12 FPS. Like, it is hard to play now.
Yeah. They don't stand the test of time.
They don't stand the test of time. Indie games are kind of immune to that in a way because they are what they are, and they're just great ideas that are put onto paper and put into action. Like you can play Stardew Valley as many times as you want. It'll be good in 50 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I would like this actually was just suggested in chat. Pull this up, Spicy, because I just pulled it up here. Wow. Trash Panda in chat says, "Did you ever play Hong Kong Massacre? Very inspired by Hotline. It's like a mix between Hotline and My Friend Pedro." And wow, it is. In fact, just do that first one. That's the release trailer. And we could probably fast forward I'm gonna
switch over so everyone can see it.
Like a minute in and watch this. Like,
yeah, I have. So I've played other games like Hotline Miami. I don't know what it is, but Hotline Miami.
So, but this has that slow
that
down
looks
the
really
time.
good.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Look how. Yeah, I remember this game. I never played it. I think I bought it.
Oh, did you really?
I have
probably
this
have
on
it
my.
on
It's
3
downloaded on my
platforms.
Switch, and I haven't
Look at
played
that
it yet.
roll, slows down. So yeah, it is. It's literally like mixing My Friend Pedro, and Hotline Miami here,
And Kung Fu.
and Kung Fu. For those of you listening, it is top down. It has a higher fidelity art style than a Hotline Miami. Very 3D, highly graphical. But then you can slow down the time. It looks like you can in My Friend Pedro. It looks amazing.
Yeah, this looks really good. I have it downloaded. I should play this. Thank you for reminding me that I have this.
Yeah, Trash Panda. Thank you very much, Jordan. How about you? Genres that you're like, I don't think so, and then you give it a shot, and you're like, oh yeah.
Well, there was the one indie game that I really like that I think was very well done, and I try to get everybody to play it, is Astroneer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the survival genre, so I don't know if this counts, but Astroneer is a very well done game.
Survival games are like that. They don't look the best, but they're very relaxing and enjoyable to play.
Yeah. Well, and I guess survival games are really hit and miss too. I mean, there's been some doozies and there's been some great ones, and I think Astroneer leans towards the great ones. I really enjoy Astroneer. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's great when you put about 10 hours into building a rover and your brother comes in and drives it halfway around the planet and then loses it.
Hey, that was me.
And the hard part about that game is you don't have oxygen, so we can't actually just run back and go get it. So it's just lost.
Yeah, it's basically lost in space for forever.
But it's a very. I think. I mean, the indie art style kind of grows on you. If you take a game like Valheim, I actually think there's a lot of charm in that graphics. They did something with Valheim that's hard. They mixed cool skybox distance graphics with terrible crappy graphics, and it really makes its own art style. Like it's really, because I look at that game now and I think, wow, this looks good. I like the way this looks. It's almost like a Minecraft where it has its own charm, and I think Astroneer is the same way. It's It's a stylized art style. I would say it's more bright colors, but it's a very simple art style. Well, I don't want to say simple, but it's simple.
Yeah.
But it's really that game is really well done. It's a very cool game. I think it's worth playing if you like survival games. This is a cool one.
Yeah. No, for me, I think a genre that you play as I played as a kid, but I was never super into it. And then when I thought of this genre, I thought, well, I'm not really into these things, so I don't think I would like this genre. And that is racing genre. That is something that I'd say over the last three or 4 years I've really dove into. Completed Forza Motorsports 6 and 7, and then Forza Horizon 3 and 4, and then moved on to other racing titles like Dirt 5 and The Crew 2 was really good. But racing titles you forget. For me, again, I'm not a car guy, so it's not something that interests me from that aspect. But the gameplay of racing, it's just simple, fun, relaxing, and I really, really enjoy a good racing game. And that's something that a genre I'd say that over the last couple of years I've really enjoyed and gotten into. Great question, T-Bucks.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a really good question. Yeah. Thank you very much for writing in. Coffee Cuptastic writes in. He says, "Hey bros, I'm a 60 FPS enthusiast, and I'm ready to say it's my favorite feature on the new Xbox. 60 frames per second as the standard is fan-friggin-tastic. What game have you played since the Series X? What game have you played since getting the Series? Have you loved even more because of the buttery, smooth frame rate?" He says, "Fallout 76 for me has a brand new life because of that 60 frames per second. Games that has improved with the Series X that you jumped
a game
into.
That's actually really cool because you can kind of it kind of cheats the system, I guess. But Witcher 3. They didn't get a specific upgrade for the Series X, but you can choose performance mode or graphic mode. If you actually put it in performance mode, it has a dynamic resolution, so you'll get your 60 frames, and because the Xbox Series X is so powerful, that dynamic resolution kicks up to its max. So you're actually playing in a better. If you put it in performance mode, you're actually playing in a better mode than the fidelity mode, because not only do you have a high resolution, but you have a high frame rate that just doesn't drop anymore because it's such a powerful machine, or a more powerful machine. So I think that's, as like a backward compatible game, I mean, that was a nice little surprise.
How about for you, Spicy?
Yeah. So you were talking about this game earlier, and I was going to ask you if they are coming out with something with it. Red Dead.
Yeah, Red Dead. So you remember, like, Xbox announced that they have the feature where you
the
can
FPS
upgrade, and Rockstar Games specifically were not in that because the theory is that they're going to be coming out with their own to do it. So not yet. Red Dead doesn't have it yet. Now I don't know if there's obviously a performance and a speed upgrade as far as things just work faster because of pure raw power.
Less drops, right?
But I don't think we saw a frame rate boost with that. That would be a really good one.
Well, no, that when you were talking about that,
didn't the original Red Dead get a boost in something when it came to backward compatibility?
It did. I think mainly because,
or was it just performance? It just
performed. Balls.
Yeah, it just performed better.
Yeah, just bigger hardware. When you were talking about that, I would love to play that at a much higher. Just not necessarily frame rate with that one, just more pretty, which that game is already gorgeous.
It's beautiful, yeah.
It's really well done.
I was actually thinking when you were talking about that, I was actually thinking I'm going to put that on my list to go back and play it, because I really want to. I want 100% that game, and I wasn't able to because I rushed after Chapter 4.
Yeah.
Other games that I think that I really would enjoy is Overwatch. I've actually installed it. I haven't played it yet, but recently I reinstalled it on my X because I know that they're doing a big push on frame rates for the new hardware. And I think any first-person shooter that you enjoy, you should have the higher frame rates.
Yeah.
Like, you're playing Doom Eternal now, right?
I beat Doom Eternal.
Yeah, you just beat it this week, right?
Yeah.
How was that with...
Well, that game is really well optimized anyway.
I know.
You know what I mean? You're already running at 60 frames on the Xbox One X. And I don't know if the original... I think across the board that game was 60 frames because the way that engine is developed, like that's their goal.
Well, you know how they did it, right? They removed the sleeves on
Yeah,
the on
they're
the.
like, that's too many polygons. Get that out of here.
They said when they removed their sleeves, they were able to punch that frame rate up.
So the one thing I definitely noticed in Doom Eternal on the Series X is when I died, it was seconds and I was back in the same match because the load, you can just see it. It goes 0%, 100, press A. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. It's instant. So the one thing I did notice is it does run really smooth. You're not getting those drops because I mean, even though some of these old games had 60 frames on the older consoles,
They would
drop frames every during high situation moments because they were kind of pushing the console to the limit. Right now, I don't think there's any game necessarily that's really pushing the console to its limit because we're still early. I think there's games that are taking advantage of it.
Yeah,
I don't think we're pushing it to the limit quite yet.
Wait till Flight Sim.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. But because of that, games are just running super smooth. So Doom, solid 60 frames. The one thing I did notice a lot though was that loading time whenever you die and have to restart. And let's be honest, you're dying a lot in that game.
Yeah.
Well, and so let's take Skyrim. I would love to play Skyrim with those low loading times.
Yeah, that's true. Although then you miss out on some kick-ass music.
Yeah, and the cool artwork that you can turn with your joystick.
That's true. What about talk about an awesome intro when that logo, the S Dragon logo, pops up? You're like, oh, let's play this game.
There's like smoke particles
I know.
up around it. So I did look. Red Dead Redemption 2 is frame locked at 30, 4K 30.
Yeah. So and there was other games. If the developer, which I don't necessarily think Rockstar will, because let's be honest, the reason I respect Rockstar is because they do their own thing and they don't give an F. You know, and it's just like, you know what? All right, okay, you're right. You know, like that's one thing I respect about them.
Their PR model is, just don't say anything. Don't. Yeah.
I don't think they have PR people because they're like, well, that's why do we need them? Just don't say anything.
Yeah, that is one game though. I'm with Spicy. And I said this when we were talking about Red Dead earlier. I cannot wait for them to come out, and I would pay. Like I said, I would pay for it. I would pay $10, $15 for the upgrade Series X version of Red Dead Redemption.
Here's my question:
just to experience that world, because that world right now is it's beautiful as it is right now. I can't imagine it upgraded.
Do you think they will though?
Yeah, I do.
Do you think I think that'd be cool if they did. I think they're focused on their next game though. You know,
GTA 6.
Yeah. I think we're gonna get an announcement for it fairly soon.
You think so?
I think
really?
so. There's a lot of stuff floating around the internet. There's a lot of stuff floating around the internet. Certain voice actors putting things up and suspiciously taking them back down.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Certain
Being removed from the game.
Yeah, there's certain, there's a lot of stuff going up and quickly coming back down.
Can you imagine the heavy hand that you have to play and follow through? I want that job actually. I want to be the guy at Rockstar, the enforcer. I want to be the guy at Rockstar that says, "Hey,
we call you the leg breaker.
Look at me right here in the eyes. Look at me. If you say anything."
He's got like a bat with
We will
nails on
take
it.
you out, your family out,
Yeah.
your uncle's farm. It'll be gone.
Well, isn't the policy at Rockstar you say something, you're fired, like no questions asked?
You have to
like
have
it's a very
you have to have that harsh of a policy in order to keep things
secret. Yeah,
quiet.
I don't think we'll get it this year, but I do think there will be an announcement.
Here's the thing:
early next
how many
year.
years of development is GTA 6 going to have taken? The CEO of Take-Two said that he no longer wants these 6-7 year turnaround for single player games. That basically he wants a shorter time, and then you can expand that world after the fact.
Basically because he
GTA
probably got
Online.
the monthly paycheck of GTA Online, right?
Yeah.
That's why he's like, hey guys, what are we doing? So
That's funny. Well, but a game like Grand Theft Auto, like how much money it makes.
oh yeah.
It's worth the investment.
Well, look how much Red
Yeah.
Dead made in the first couple days. But if you look at Red Dead, they changed the way they develop games for Red Dead, and I think that's their new.
Yeah, where they use multiple.
They used all their studios
Yeah.
to work on one game, and I think all those as Red Dead was. I mean, I think Grand Theft Auto 6 has probably been in development for a very long time.
Yeah.
But as Red Dead was getting ready to launch, I think the resources shifted over to. And then, like I said, there's a lot of people, post last year in February of 2020. Hey guys, just finished my voice acting for such and such. Oh shoot, let me take that down.
It would break records. When GTA 6 launches, it's going to break records.
Sure.
The
It always has.
The question is GTA, no problem, and I don't think they're going to release online day one. I think they're going to do the same thing with.
Do
how
you think
release
they
it
just
later?
merge it into current online?
That's the question. What do you do from getting this player base to jump into this? How do you merge the two onlines? If you even do that, do you even do that, or you just keep them separate?
Well, I don't think you need to.
You don't think you need to merge it?
No. Everybody likes a good wipe here or there.
Yeah,
That's just it's a Tarkov wipe.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to.
So you'd have new technology. You'd have new
keep it.
new graphics, new technology, and
It's making money. Keep it up. Have a new one. Keep it up.
A new one, yeah,
Well, I guess
for
what
new
you do
players,
is
that's true.
keep the old one and stop giving it content updates while focusing. Because
Well, you could still
people
give it
will
content
slowly.
updates. I mean,
come over,
remember,
right?
it's the top 5 selling games every month for the last 7 years.
Yeah, it's making enough money. To,
Yes.
Why take it down? Who
think
cares?
you're right. Yeah, I
make
think
a new
you're right.
one. You're going to make twice as much money because they have to do it there and they're going to do it here.
Yeah, that's a good
Let
point.
me tell you some rumors I've heard about GTA 6. though.
Give me your rumors. man.
Rumors is you know how in GTA 5 we had the 3 characters that you jump between?
Yeah.
Yes.
So rumors with GTA 6, and I actually really I think Rockstar pushes boundaries and they take risks, like with the 3 characters, right? I think I really like that they do this.
Well,
But I mean, the risks may not always pay off, but at least they're doing something
it's true,
different.
it's true.
You know, they're trying to evolve. They're doing something different. Rumor is that we're gonna have 3 different cities:
instead of
Vice City, Los Santos,
Oh.
and
Well-
where was Nico?
Liberty.
Liberty City.
Well,
yeah.
if
which is
you-
New York.
yeah.
well, if you look at it, that's what Red Dead Redemption 2 did.
Yeah, they brought in some
They
other
brought in all of the
But-
whole world,
stuff. Rumors I've been reading in the dark corners of the internet.
the dark web.
Yeah, the dark web is the story will take you throughout these different cities, and a lot of people. I think it was Liberty City. I don't know. Los Santos maybe not, but people are thinking Vice City, which is Miami essentially,
Yeah.
which was one of my favorite Grand Theft Autos,
Great
by
place.
the way,
Yeah.
and Liberty City, which is Nico, it's your cousin.
Yeah. I want to go bowling.
Great song if you've never heard it.
That's interesting. So you're not going to switch between characters. I'll take the more Red Dead. I prefer the Red Dead Redemption approach.
I like the idea and the storytelling of switching between characters, but I think everybody just picked their favorite character and kind of stayed with them as long as like I liked Michael the best.
I like Trevor the best.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean. So everybody kind of sticked. You did the other ones because you had to.
I liked everyone at different times, but then there were definitely weaker characters and weaker stories.
I mean, maybe they'll improve it, but I mean,
I think. Yeah. Sorry, Jordan. I think what you're talking about, the story and the dynamic between Michael and Trevor.
It's so good.
Yeah, it was just third partied, and that's the thing. Unfortunately,
it felt tapped on. Yeah, where you're him at first. What's it?
Franklin?
What's it? Franklin. You're Franklin at first, and at first, before you're introduced to Trevor,
when you first meet Michael is really cool.
when
Or
he
Michael,
the first time when he
like,
pops out of the
pops
seat,
yeah.
and you realize how much of a badass he is.
yeah, dude. So like, Franklin's fine, but then like you said, he does feel like an add-on.
It's the strength of those 2 characters and the previous past. Because remember, you started in Canada with that bank robbery.
That's right.
And you're
Sets
wondering
sets
what
the
that
tone.
is.
Yeah.
And then you 10 years later or whatever it was, retired. You have a wife that hates you, kids that hate you.
A daughter who's dumb, and
Yeah.
a son who's
What-
a moron.
What was really the one thing? So I mean, story wise, I don't think it super panned out because, like you said, I mean, I just kind of picked my favorite character and played him. But I think what was really cool about it is when you did big missions and you switched between the 3 of them
Yeah,
during that mission.
that was awesome.
because it completely changes the mission. So you start out the mission, let's say as Michael running up like guns blazing through the stairs, and then I remember you switched to Franklin, who was in a different building sniping. Like you got so many
Yeah, that
different
was
gamelay
cool.
elements.
And then
by
Trevor's
doing that switching.
Trevor's a pilot, so he's up in the air.
yeah.
You're flying in to get them out of there. Like
Yeah.
it was really well done.
Yeah, that is well
and
done.
it
The gameplay
built,
aspect,
It
yeah.
built up to that moment with how it switched.
Who I would have rather had been instead of Franklin was Franklin's friend.
Oh,
Lamont,
Lamar.
The one with the Apache blood.
Yeah.
It was funny. Or his aunt, I thought was hilarious too.
Yeah, his aunt was hilarious.
when they go marching.
When
and-
Trevor
When Trevor meets her for the first
and
time.
and gives her hair, why don't you buy something? And it's like $1.
It's $2 or
$2,
something.
yeah.
And I said, buy your.
And she's all flattered.
That's one of the greatest. It's great. And they do an excellent job with music. By the way, you said you wanted to be the leg breaker, right?
Yeah.
I want to be the music guy.
Yeah. Put together the music.
Rockstar knows how to make a good product and a good story, how to tell the story. That's why it's gonna break.
Yeah, so anyway, and going back to the original topic, what you said about the Take-Two guy, I think that's why they restructured, like, what is it, Rockstar North, Rockstar San Diego. I think there's one in England somewhere. I don't know which one they are. Anyway, but I think that's why they restructured to pump the games out. Not necessarily every year, because I don't think you need a Grand Theft Auto or a Red Dead every year, but...
Obviously you don't.
Yeah,
you can get away with every
look at
7
GTA
years.
5.
Yeah.
So
let's take one more question here before we call it a podcast. Let's go to Blake Densley. Blake Densley says, "Fellas, the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League just came out. My question is, why don't we have more awesome DC games? The Batman games are good, but where is a solid Wonder Woman game? How about a good Justice League game? Fighting games don't count. I would love an open world Wonder Woman game. Or how about a Justice League game in the style of a beat 'em up like OG Double Dragon, or like the new Streets of Rage, or even better than that, what's the Alliance game? With
Marvel
Ultimate
Alliance,
Alliance. You could do that with DC.
Like a
although
top-down. Those were great games.
Although it would be, kind of a copycat doing that. But
who cares if you do it better?
let's see. So we have for DC games.
That's what comics
So
are.
for DC
Yeah.
games,
Just
we have Batman, super solid.
Yeah, you have the Arkham series, which excellent series. Arkham City, I think, is the best of the three.
Yeah.
Very well done. You do have two new games coming out. So the one Batman game, what is it? Arkham. What was it called? Arkham Brotherhood. Arkham Gotham Knights. That's what it's called. With all
Gotham
you
Knights.
you play all the different characters. You do have the Suicide Squad game that's coming out next year as well.
Again, in the Batman verse.
Yeah, that we. But it's different.
I would say I know fighting games don't count. However, the Injustice story, if you don't want to play,
very good.
It is, and that includes a variety of characters. It's basically a Justice League. It's basically a Justice League story there.
Yeah, Injustice.
It's
Injustice
amazing.
2. The
It's
story.
not like a typical. If you've been away from fighting games for a while, it's very story centric. Play the campaign. It's really most of the Justice 1 and 2, very very good. I would say those are really good. But yeah, an open world type of game.
I mean, you do have DC Universe Online.
That's true.
Which
You do
is
have an
which
MMO.
is decent. It's not the best MMO. It's not the worst MMO. I think it's good though.
I actually think there's quite a bit of these types of games. Well, he definitely
like
says
but not like-
awesome games,
but not like
Yeah,
AAA.
DC has had some misses.
Yeah, that's true.
That Superman game was terrible. The N64
Well,
Superman.
I think
Well,
I think because I think what the best superhero game is. Would you say is Spider-Man?
I would say Arkham City is the best superhero game
And-
I've played.
Or really over the Spider-Man?
Over the new Spider-Man. Although the ending of the new Spider-Man was really good because they kind
the
of
new Spider-Man, the one that was on the PlayStation, very good game.
Very
Do
good.
you think it
Excellent
sets a
game.
standard for superhero games, or did Batman already do that?
I think the Arkham series set a standard for superhero games.
Yeah, because before WB made that game, superhero games were very good,
Well, and I do get what he's saying. They do
especially DC. Yeah,
I do get what he's saying. They do tend to lean heavily towards Batman, but I think that's because Batman is Batman.
Batman
And
is Batman.
everybody loves Batman,
I'm
right?
Batman.
Going back to the thing, if I were, I think this is what I'd say. So Mark did too. He did it a lot quicker than I did. We both 100% at the game.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man is very good. I think it would be my close number 2. I think Arkham City was amazing. Only reason, I mean, Spider-Man, I think they're even in every in gameplay, in world, in all this stuff. The only thing that I think Arkham Knight has a little bit over Spider-Man is I think the story was just a tad better. And the reason the story was a tad better is because you had amazing characters with Harley Quinn and Joker and that whole, and you have the entire Batman villainy, right? You had Nigma, you had Catwoman, and they were all really good characters. I mean, Spider-Man has its good characters too. I don't know. I think I put Arkham City as number 1. Spider-Man, and I've not played Miles Morales yet, so I think I'd put Spider-Man as a close number 2. It's tough though, and I think the only thing that does it for me is, like I said, I think the story in Arkham City is just a little bit better.
Spicy.
It's a hard one. Here's my deal. I kind of put God of War in this category
He is tough.
because you play that first fight, you feel like a superhero anyways.
It was a Dragon Ball Z fight.
It was so good. And the fact you can't deny how good Injustice is.
It is.
Well,
it
from
is
the
very
from,
good.
good.
even if you're not a fan of fighting games, the story alone,
The story is jaw
Just play it
dropping.
on easy and just play it for the
story alone from Injustice 1 through all the way through Injustice 2 is very good. It'll make you like,
Amazing.
oh, I want to go pick up these comic books and read the story.
What makes it so great is they're the Mortal Kombat guys. Is how they put the fights. They go from cutscene right to the fight, back to the cutscene.
Yeah, it's like playing a movie.
It's like, and the camera just turns, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it
if
is
you
very well
if you
done.
are into Blake, if you're into storytelling with good superheroes, that you shouldn't just ignore that series because it is excellent.
Injustice 1 starts out like,
And you're like,
whoa.
Something
And you're like,
happens.
that's
that
only
you-
a minute in.
Something happens that you think would never happen
Yeah, and then you're like,
right away. Why do you think that we don't have? For instance, I think a Wonder Woman game would be super cool.
I think we've talked about this.
Better
a
be
little bit
third
before.
person.
I think we've talked about this before because I would love to see a superhero game or a Superman game.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman and Superman are essentially same power level. I do get the argument that it's kind of hard to develop a game for characters that are very powerful. I think it works with Batman because he's a guy.
Yeah, but
You know.
Because he has a hero's journey.
Yeah.
Superman doesn't. He's already just.
I really
level.
I really like Superman, and I really like his stories, like the whole Doomsday story. Not the movie Doomsday, the actual comic book Doomsday is really good. I think Superman has really cool.
well, what about Aquaman having like if you could figure out underwater battle systems, it'd be this whole crazy cool new way to play.
Yeah, I
It'd be
think
difficult,
I don't
though.
know. Yeah, but see, even if you look over at Marvel's side of things, though,
There's not Spider-Man. Like I said,
like
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, you have Ultimate Alliance,
Ultimate Alliance
but
is a
Ultimate
great
Alliance worked because it was
Diablo.
it was like a Diablo style thing, and you didn't really have like. Does Marvel have an Aquaman, and was he in Marvel Ultimate Alliance? I don't think he was.
Well, because it took place on land.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no point. He's got to cover the harbor, you know.
He's at the harbor.
Yeah, he's
There's
covering
a reason
the
Marvel
ocean.
didn't copy those characters.
Or even better, here I'll give you one. I'd like to see a Flash game. That you'd have like this Matrix mechanic.
That's Sonic.
Yeah.
Just get those
Sonic.
coins.
Yeah, ding ding ding.
It's just flat.
Du-du-du-du-du-du.
Yeah, I think like Spider-Man works as a character because let's think of Marvel games. Other than Ultimate Alliance and Spider-Man, I think that's really the only ones. I mean, there was the X-Men, which is where Ultimate Alliance came from. Apocalypse is what was the X-Men one called? But that's what started Ultimate Alliance, is it came from that X-Men game.
You know what would be an excellent game? If you took the same concept of like Spider-Man or Batman and just did a good villain game. And you know how
That's what's interesting about Suicide Squad. Though,
yeah.
huh? Yeah.
Well, but they're still goodish. And
They're
in
being
that
they're being used by the
to
good.
be good.
Yeah.
You know, I want.
You
You,
wanna just
remember?
be
Have
doing
you ever played
evil?
the game Plague Inc., where you try to kill the world
Okay,
with
yeah,
a virus?
Yeah.
I would love that as a goal to take over the world, to be the bad guy, to be Ganon.
Yeah.
Well, there is a new game that dropped this week called
Bad Guy Simulator.
Cartel Tycoon.
So imagine if you were Lex Luthor and you had to build your empire to take out superheroes.
You could have a city building tycoon game called Lex Luthor.
Lex Luthor. I think that would be a great concept. Some of the best games we've ever played are tragedies. And have this and that. Have it not be like a joke on being a villain. Have it be a legit bad guy game.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Thanos.
A little dark, but cool.
No, but that's.
Yeah.
I mean, Red Dead was a
Would it-
dark.
would
Red
it-
Dead 2 was a tragedy.
Would it
very
almost,
dark game.
Would it almost lessen the bad guy though?
What do you mean?
Like if you're playing as him, because let's I don't know how to explain it. Like let's take Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
The very end scene. Can I just talk about it?
Be
Let's
very
just,
loose.
let's just talk about it. All right. If you don't want to hear about it,
if you
then
don't want to hear
listen
about
to
it, because that's such a pivotal part of why I enjoy that game.
Yeah,
So
but
I don't want-
it's been a couple of years. We're a gaming podcast. We got to talk about things.
okay. we're going to talk about the ending of that game. So I would skip ahead about 3 minutes.
The reason. So at the end of that game, when Darth Vader comes in, the reason he's a cool character is because you're afraid of him. Can you have that as him being the playable character? Is what I'm asking. You know what I mean?
Well, do you know how terrifying Superman is if you're against him?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
I get, yeah. I
That's
get
actually why I like Lex Luthor so much.
Well, he fights him
because he's a normal guy taking on the most powerful person that's ever been.
Yeah, yeah.
And he does it, and he does a great job.
Yeah, because he fights him with the brain, the old noggin.
Totally. That's one of the reasons I like Superman Injustice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because Superman goes crazy. He goes crazy, and do you know how terrifying that is?
Yeah.
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 It's all about perspective.
Psychotic in chat says,
yeah,
I
yeah,
really
get it right.
miss. He says, I really miss Marvel Omega Heroes. It was a great MMORPG on PC that came to Xbox
Oh,
towards
yeah.
the very end of its lifetime.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a Diablo. Remember, we played it. It wasn't originally called Omega. It was Marvel something, and then they re-released it on console. It was actually a really well done. It was a Diablo-style game online. It was pretty cool. It just didn't pick up the grab that it needed.
The grab bag.
David, imagine Crusader Kings, but instead of that,
with superheroes, I was thinking that.
But you are Kingpin, and you are trying to create your organization of crime.
With a game like Crusader Kings, you could do it both ways too. Like, why not? Imagine Justice League. Imagine turn-based strategy Justice League. So you've got Superman. You get to select your players.
That'd be cool.
And their abilities coming
XCOM,
out. XCOM with superheroes would be awesome.
Well, they did just do one game we're not talking about. They did just do Avengers last year, which was
Well, we're not talking about it
DC,
because
though.
it was
Well,
okay.
it's not DC,
it had a
though.
lot.
yeah. But I mean,
Well-
would you want a Justice League like that?
Well, yeah, if it's done right.
yeah, if done correctly.
You take some of my favorite characters and do it right. You're gonna.
For instance, here we go. Outriders. What is so fun about Outriders is that you have these abilities that it's just like, damn,
Yeah.
and the artwork and stuff. Why can't you do that type of like a looter, rinse repeat Diablo style that Outriders is doing with superheroes? Because you
Well, I think that's what Avengers did.
feeling like a superhero anyways, but do it properly.
Yeah.
Have Square Enix do it for you, or
Well, Square
Bungie.
Enix
Have
did
Bungie do it.
Square Enix did Avengers.
If Bungie did a superhero, game like that, Batman would have the coolest costume.
His
the
power
coolest-
low, yeah, you'd
Would
grind.
it have
armor.
bat nipples?
Yeah.
Will they Clooney it?
Yeah, but they'd be cool.
Hey, those bat nipples were cool.
Great question, Blake. Thank you very much for writing in. Appreciate it, everybody. That actually does us for this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. Again, if you haven't, head over to YouTube, youtube.com/XoneBros. Make sure you subscribe to us there. Also, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to us.
And Audible.
We're on Audible.
I actually
everybody.
logged into Audible this week and it said, "Hey, welcome to Audible. Would
We
you
are
like to
on
listen to a
Audible,
podcast?"
which means you can use your Alexa device to
talk to us.
talk to us, to bring us up over there. And anyways, guys, thank you very much for listening. Thanks you for the support. I don't have any. Who else should I thank? I'd like to thank my mom.
Thank your mom. Everyone, we're going to have a post show, so stay around for the post show as well.
Stick around for the post show. It's a good time.
Yeah. And thanks, David's mom, I guess.
Bye-bye.